Welcome. In this video, I will explain which roles are active within the iShare network. iShare is not a product or a platform. iShare is a set of agreements which describe how to identify, authenticate, and authorize other parties. If participating parties adhere to the same way for identification, authentication, and authorization of parties, we can trust each other that data is safely shared. Well, within the iShare network, we have various roles which enable safe data sharing. The roles within iShare can be divided into two categories. We have the adhering roles, the parties that actually engage in data sharing, and we have the certified roles. The certified roles are parties that provide specific services in order to help identify or authenticate or authorize parties. So within iShare, there's always one party which requests data or service. This is the service consumer. And we have a party who answers this request for data or service, which is the service provider. These are the parties that exchange data. But there's another important third party active within this sharing of data. This is the entitled party. The entitled party is the party which is, well, it's in the name, entitled to the data which is being shared, and is therefore also the party who initially has the right to delegate access to this data. It could be that this entitled party requests data which he has rights to request on. This makes the entitled party also the service consumer. He requests data to which he is entitled. But within logistics, we often see that entitled parties outsource specific activities. For example, a freight owner outsources activities to a transporter. This makes that transporter should also have access to the same data that applies to the cargo that he is transporting. When that happens, the entitled party and the service consumer are not the same party, but the service consumer always acts on behalf of the entitled party. So participating parties within iShare, no matter what role you fulfill within the network, you're required to have the same way for identification, authentication, and authorization of parties. But that does not mean that you have to be able to do these processes yourself. For example, smaller companies who are not able to manage their own identities or authorizations, they can outsource these activities and acquire them as a service from specialized certified parties within the iShare network. The most common of these certified parties is the authorization registry. Within an authorization registry, a party can register which data access rights he allows another party to have on his behalf. The second party is the identity provider. Most of the roles and activities within iShare are based on machine-to-machine communication, but often also physical people are present within a process. For example, a trucker which has come to collect a container. In order to be able to identify physical persons within the iShare scheme, we have identity providers. These parties provide an identity and some form of token to a physical person, which he can use to identify himself in a digital context. The third certified role within iShare is an identity broker. Imagine in the future we have over 30 identity providers. For a service provider, it can become quite a hassle to communicate with all these different parties and recognize their identity tokens. The service provider can ask these questions to an identity broker, and the identity broker takes care of all the communication with the various identity providers within iShare. So it makes the situation, if the network becomes really big, a little less complex for a service provider. The last role within iShare is the scheme owner. The scheme owner manages the admission process of new parties to the iShare network and also manages an overview of active parties within iShare. For example, parties can check whether someone who is requesting their data is an active member within iShare, or maybe an entitled party would like to see an overview of all the authorization registries within iShare because he wants to outsource his authorizations. This information is all managed by the scheme owner. So now we've seen the various roles who are active within the iShare network. This does not mean that for every data sharing activity all these roles are active. It could also be that service provider manages his own identities or authorizations, as quite often already happens. But all these roles together combined ensure that iShare becomes a scalable network within which data can safely be shared. Take a look at iShareWorks.org for more information, and thank you for your time.